Hello all, hope you're all safe. Since our PG NEET exams and Central Institute exams are nearing up towards the end of this year, I think most of you would have gone into serious preparations, and the very bad nightmare of all the students during the preparation phase is the mugging up part of exams, and especially for subjects like pharmacology, biochemistry and microbiology, where we'll have to put lot of terms and lot of new names into our mind. And most of the students, like, they skip this subjects at the last minute of the exams. These subjects, I should say, is very easy to score and very difficult to score if we follow some kind of ideas or tricks, I should say. And today we will be seeing something about microbiology. It was also a very difficult subject for me during my preparation phase to remember all those names, especially in bacteriology. But you can see that you cannot find out any question paper without a question from bacteriology. At least in the Central Institutes, they should have a question from this bacteriology part. And if you notice very carefully, all the Central Institutes, they will not ask so hi-fi things about the bacteriology or virology. They will be concentrating only upon the utter basics. And if and like most of the students, they do not keep this subjects in their mind during the last minute of the exams. So if we concentrate on only the repeated question part of these exams, we can easily score a sure 1 mark in any Central Institute exams. Today I have a discussion upon the gram positive and gram negative things. We will be very concise about only the bacteriology part, that too the gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Like, you can see in any question paper, if we take, there will be at least one question from this bacteriology part. And this I will be focusing upon a flowchart kind of thing today. And this flowchart, I found it from a book for USMLE preparation. And this was suggested to me by my friend, and I found it very useful in retaining these kind of this name of the test and the bacteria, the major significant bacteria under those headings. And this was very useful, you won't believe. It is enough if you see just 1 hour before the exam or just 1 day before the exam, you will be able to answer a sure 1 or 2 questions in any Central Institute exams. And this is a very easy way to score 1 mark, rather than studying hours and hours of the microbiology as a whole. This 2 flowchart, you can score a sure 1 mark in your Central Institute exams. And one more thing, towards the end of the discussion, I will be displaying the clear picture of this flowchart, and you can take a screenshot, take a printout of that and stick it somewhere in front of your study table or something. See it then and then. It will automatically, unconsciously enter into your mind, and you will actually appreciate the use of this flowchart, not now, but after your exam. You will be able to know how much important this flowchart is, and how much you will be very fluent in answering these questions. At the end of the discussion, I will be telling about how it will help you in what way. Okay. Coming into our discussion, it will be a very short discussion. Fresh up, and we'll finish it in some 5 to 10 minutes. We will start our discussion. And I'm not telling that I will be telling you about all the nook and corner of all the bacteria, but this is the basic bacteriology concept which we should know. And all the Central Institute exams are testing the students whether they know this concept in whatever way they ask. Okay. First I will be explaining about what this flowchart says, and then at the last I will tell you how the questions are being asked, and how you can train your mind to apply this flowchart in the time of exams. Within 2-3 minutes, how can you apply your mind in implicating this into answers? Okay, first I'll be explaining what the flowchart is telling. Okay, this is the gram positive bacteria's flow chart, and we all know that gram positive will be purple in color in their microscopy, and this we can broadly divide into bacillus, cocci, and branching filaments. See, first time when you are learning, we have to learn in this way, and when you see for the second time, third time, fourth time, you will be knowing where to concentrate, what to concentrate. Okay, since this is the first time, I'm just explaining in detail. Matlab, I'll be telling in an order wise, and then you can train your mind to concentrate what is that, what to include, what to exclude, like that. Okay, in the bacillus, it is aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic, we have Listeria, Bacillus, Corynebacterium, Clostridium, Propionibacterium. Okay, in this I will tell you where you will get confused. You will confuse between the Corynebacterium and Clostridium. What is aerobic and what is anaerobic? Okay, so we should concentrate on that when you are revising. And I'm telling you, while you are reading this now, you will feel like, okay, this is aerobic, this is anaerobic, I know. But during the time of exam, you will feel difficulty in recalling what is anaerobic and what is aerobic. That exam tension will cause this confusion. Okay, so we have to also concentrate on what is aerobic and what is anaerobic. Okay, and the cocci, it is mostly anaerobic and or facultative, that is both. And in this, catalase is a test. In this box kind of things are their main headings, and this catalase, if it is catalase negative, we can tell it as streptococcus group, and if it is positive, we know that it is staphylococcus group. If it is catalase negative, then the streptococcus, you know that streptococcus will be in the form of pairs or chains and staph in clusters. And in the streptococcus, to differentiate among the streptococcus, we have to see the hemolysis test. And in the hemolysis, if it is alpha hemolysis, alpha or partial hemolysis, in this kind of hemolysis, that culture plate will be showing green color kind of things. And in this alpha hemolysis, how to differentiate among the subtypes is the optochin sensitivity. Okay, from the pronunciation you can remember this: alpha optochin, and beta bacteriacin. Okay, beta bacteriacin, alpha optochin sensitivity. See, I'm telling you all the sensitivity: optochin sensitivity, bacteriacin sensitivity, novobacillus sensitivity. In everything, the sensitive kind of the bacteria will be that which we are coming across in our very frequently. Okay, like for example, in optochin sensitivity, Streptococcus pneumonia is the very famous bacteria which we know in this Streptococcus family. So this sensitive bacteria will be the known bacteria to us. Okay, that is Streptococcus pneumonia. And in the optochin sensitivity, if it is not sensitive, that is if it is optochin resistant, the English term also they will play in the exams. Optochin sensitive is Streptococcus pneumoniae, and optochin resistant is viridans, mutans, and mites. Okay, all the starred bacteria are those which have been already asked in the questions in the previous question papers. Okay, this mutants, I should say, since the mutants is a repeated question, in that question, in the clinical scenario, it was given that this bacteria was found from the oral cavity. Okay, so this mutants is the most common bacteria which we found in the oral cavity. Okay, now this alpha hemolysis part is over. Coming on to the beta hemolysis or complete hemolysis part. In this, that culture plate, that colonies will be very clear, and to differentiate among them, we will use bacteriacin sensitivity or POIR status. In this, as I said before, bacteriacin sensitive organism will be our famous friend. So in this group, comparing to the Streptococcus agalactiaceae and Streptococcus pyogenes is more known to us. So this more known will be the bacteriacin sensitive type. Okay, In this one more thing we have to concentrate is that in some question papers it were given not Streptococcus pyogenes. It was asked in the options like group A or group B. Okay, we have to remember that this will come in opposite way. See, if it is group B, then the bacteria's name will start in A, Agalactaceae. If it is group A, then the bacteria's name will start in Streptococcus pyogenes. Okay, it will be ulta kulta. So we have to remember in this way also. And another thing is, if it is no hemolysis, then we can differentiate it by in the growth in bile and growth in 6.5% NaCl and PYR status. In this, if it is sensitive, if it is growing in bile, then we can tell it as Enterococcus, and among this we have the Streptococcus faecium and Streptococcus faecalis, and in non-Enterococcus we have the Streptococcus bovis. Okay, this is not asked till now, but there is high chance that they will ask in the future. And okay, this completes the part of the Streptococcus family. Okay, and you should also remember that this is Enterococcus. Okay, Enterococcus. And coming on to the catalase, if it is negative, it is Streptococcus family, we saw already, and if it is positive, it is staph. And among the staph, we have to differentiate by coagulase test. Okay, by coagulase test, if it is positive, then it is Staph aureus. Okay, this is a very repeated question, and like if they are asking in the question like Staph aureus, then they will give in the question that it is coagulase positive and catalase positive, and they will confuse with all the options. So if it is double C positive, that is coagulase positive and catalase positive, it is Staph aureus. And if it is coagulase negative, then it is the other family of staph, and to differentiate among them, we can use the novobiosine sensitivity. As I said before, the sensitive organism will be our known friend, that is Staph epidermidis. Okay, and the novobiosine resistant will be Staph saprophyticus. Okay, this completes our cocci part, and in the branching filaments there is nothing much to remember. It is aerobic and anaerobic. Okay, it is like very easy during this time of study, but during the exam I'm sure that any student will get confused between this. Okay, and you will be very guilty on the time of examination that you were not able to remember at least this. Okay, and this aerobic is nocardia and anaerobic is actinomyces. Okay, okay, this much is that for gram positive bacteria. I'm telling that I will be displaying a clear picture of this flowchart at the end of the discussion, and see, like, you need not mug up the whole flowchart. Okay, when you see this repeatedly, you just stick it in front of your study table or something. When you see this repeatedly, all this highlighted part, at least this part will be there in your mind, and small points. See, I'm telling you, if at least you remember that the Staph aureus is double C positive, that is coagulase positive and catalase positive, the question will be 7-8 lines question. Okay, but your eye has to search the coagulase test and catalase test results. Okay, if it is positive for these two tests, if the question is 10 lines or 12 lines, your answer will be Staph aureus. Okay, you will feel a very much less time in answering these such questions, and you just keep on seeing this, and when you practice the questions, you will know how much this flowchart will be helpful for you to answering the questions. Okay, as you practice, you will feel that you were able to answer that question only because of this flowchart. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but you will feel the difference once you practice the exams, and once you get near by the exams only, you will know the value of this flowchart. So don't ignore it. I request you all to just go through this flowchart one day before the exam. Okay, this is all about the gram positive bacteria, and now we'll be seeing about the gram negative bacteria. There is not much things to get confused in this. See, gram negative bacteria will be pink in color. We can broadly classify them as Diplococci, Coccobacillus, Bacilli, and Comma bacteria, which I mean comma shaped bacteria. And in the diplococci, we have the aerobic group, and in this aerobic group, the most common test used is maltose. And in this maltose, if it is reacting in the maltose test is positive, then it is Neisseria meningitidis. See, you all would have learned this mnemonic already. M for maltose positive is meningitis, and if it is negative, we say it is the Neisseria gonorrhea or Moraxella. Here also I will be like marking all the repeated questions in the question papers. In the Coccobacilli, we will see like Haemophilus influenza, Pasteurella, Brucella, and Bordetella. In the exams, I will be always confused whether Haemophilus influenza is gram positive or gram negative, but it is under gram negative. And in the Bacillus part, to differentiate them, we can use the lactose test, and if it is positive, then we will be like seeing whether it is fast fermenting or slow fermenting. Fast lactose fermenters and slow lactose fermenters. Fast fermenters are Klebsiella, E. coli, Enterobacter, and slow fermenters are Citrobacter and Serratia. And if it is lactose negative, then we have this oxidase test. In this oxidase test, if it is negative, we will be like going on into this. If it is oxidase positive, then it is Pseudomonas. This is also a very repeated question in the question papers I saw, especially for the Central Institute exams. They will be giving like the organism is lactose negative and oxidase positive. It is very very practical for any student to forget this kind of this test results. I literally hate this kind of tests in micro, but we have no other option. We have to know at least this tests. And Pseudomonas, it is actually oxidase positive and lactose negative. And among the oxidase negative, to differentiate them, we will be using the H2S production in TSI agar. And if it is this H2S production, if it is positive, then we have Salmonella and Proteus, and if it is negative, we have Shigella and Yersinia. Okay. If they are, and in this part or that hemolysis part which we learnt in the gram positive flow chart, we will be like able to exclude the answers very fastly if we have this in mind. Okay, so we will be like excluding the options more than including the options, and at least some spark will click on your mind to answer that question. Okay, even if you exclude, and among the two remaining answers, if you choose one thing, it will be correct. Okay, this I'm telling you with my practical experience, and I hope it will be the same for you also. And the Salmonella, Proteus, and Shigella were repeated questions in the question papers which I saw. And one more thing I should say, this slow fermenting Serratia, no, the Serratia was like, I remember that it produces red colored colonies. Okay, so in ICU setup of patients, if that 80 tube, if they are having red colored thing, it will be confused with hemoptysis, and they will ask you what is that organism that grows in that that is found in that tube. Okay, it was a question which I remember I found in some question paper, and that is Serratia. And among the Kama shaped bacteria, all are oxidase positive. With, that is, I am discussing here now, all are oxidase positive, and you can use this also a clue to identify it. And among this we have the Campylobacter jejuni, which grows at 42 degrees Celsius, and Vibrio bacteria cholera. Vibrio cholera, which grows at alkaline medium, and H. pylori, which produces urease. This is one unique points for this bacteria, I should say. And thus we come to the end of the discussion. Like I've not done nothing new in this explanations. It is enough if you just for the first time you just listen to the video, and the next time and all, I'm like displaying the clear pictures of this flow charts at the end of this discussion, and you just take a screenshot and save it for your revision purpose. You just stick it somewhere on your wall. That is enough. And like before any grant test you put, or before any exams you appear, you just see it just say it before you appear for the exam. Okay, you will retain, for sure you will get 1 mark in central institute exams. And this is very helpful because most of the students, they will omit this subject, and the central institutes are not digging deep into the bacteriology. They will just ask the basic bacteria, this bacteriology, this is the basics of bacteriology. And it will be enough if we know at least this part of bacteriology, and we will get sure 1 mark in any central institute exams. And one more thing I wanted to tell, that among this bacilli, the tests which we are learning, sometimes one time what happened is, I just forgot that whether this Pseudomonas was lactose positive or oxidase positive. I didn't revise this for one time, and I was confused like whether it was lactose positive or whether I learnt it under oxidase positive. So just I after that grand test, I just keeping LOH, this mnemonic in mind. Okay, LOH, that is, this is the order, this is the order in which we are learning the test. LOH, L for lactose, O and H. Okay, this is a small mnemonic, I know, but I just wanted to tell. I got confused in one grand test, and I just wanted to tell. And one more thing is that I wanted to tell how they used to ask in the exams. Okay, nowadays NEET exams are also based on clinical scenarios, so that is why I wanted to tell like how this will be asked in the exams. Okay, all this what I have told is just concept part. Okay, and the question can be in any form. Okay, it can be in the form of some slide will be given and the question will be asked. You do not, even if you do not know the slide or the shape of, even if you have not seen that bacteria before, when you read the question, it will be given like it is beta hemolysis positive and bacteriocin negative. So what will be the answer? Beta hemolysis positive and bacteriocin sensitivity negative, or bacteriocin resistant. You can easily answer that it is group B or Streptococcus agalactiaceae. Okay, this is how it will be useful for you. And in the clinical scenario, they may ask in kind of patient part, like it will be asked some patient is there, he is having such and such symptoms, and upon working up that in the laboratory, that organism was found to be this test positive and that test negative. And I'm telling you, these are all the significant tests which is helpful in identifying this bacteria. Okay, they may give extra 5-6 tests along with this, but these are the basic steps in which you can be able to eliminate or include some bacteria. Okay, these flowcharts will be useful in not only including the option into our mind, but also very very helpful in excluding the answers. Okay, and one more thing is that it is very practical for anyone to forget when you learn for the first time. Don't feel guilty on that. It is the same for everyone, and when you see repeatedly only, this will be in your mind. And it is very practical to like get confused at the first time. Okay, when you see repeatedly, you will be able to retain it in mind, and I'm very sure about this. And all the best. Okay, now we'll be seeing up on the clear pictures of this flowcharts, and you can take a screenshot.